Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tiffany Craig in the newsroom, and this is a topic that we can't stop talking about in here. So we have Diane Gottsman. She is an etiquette expert, which I love, first of all.
That is an etiquette dilemma. How do you not know I'm not an etiquette expert?
We're talking about tipping, which when we started letting people know that we were going to do this today, everybody's like, oh, I got a question. Oh, I want to know about such and such. So we're going to try to get to all of those questions, but I just want to start with a couple of the basics.
Okay.
Like, why do we tip?
We tip because it's the right thing to do. It's the gracious thing to do. Mm-hmm. We are expressing our gratitude for good service. That's why we tip. Now that does not mean we go around and tip everyone we meet everywhere. It's those in the service industry that rely on tips for their livelihood.
Is there ever a scenario where you don't tip?
Absolutely. So you would not tip me. I would not tip you.
We would not
tip. Well,
I'm kidding.
You could.
Right.
You don't tip doctors. You don't tip attorneys. You don't tip chiropractors. Those that draw in a salary, you don't tip.
Okay.
But others, wait staff, manicurists, hairstylists, those that are working towards working for gratuity, certainly you don't want to skip a tip.
And then the next question is, how much should you tip?
Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today.
So
and we already have lots of questions.
We do. And matter of fact, I have a couple that came off my Facebook page. So here's my shameless plug. Tiffany Craig KHOU is my Facebook page, so you could like that. I would be greatly appreciative. No tipping though. So Katie Copus, her question was, should I tip the guy who checks my luggage near the curb at the airport?
So I'm assuming she's talking about the person who is checking her in. And the answer to that is yes. So when they check you in at the curb, mm-hmm. you give them your suitcase, they weigh it, they give you your boarding pass, or they check you in. You tip, here's the deal. If you have one bag, $5. Don't give them $1. If you have two bags, it could be an extra $3, it could be an extra $5. So, it's up to you, but you don't ever want to skip the tip.
$5 per bag?
$5 for the first bag.
What if it's really heavy?
Well, you're paying extra anyway because it's really heavy, but this is something separate. So you're not tipping them based on how much you are or are not over or under. This is a gratuity. You're tipping the guy behind the counter.
Okay. All right, here's another one from Kate Asher. Thank you for the question. If gratuity is factored into the bill, do I still have to tip more?
You don't have to tip more, and it depends. So and let me just say that all of these things that we're talking about today, all of these numbers, mm-hmm. they're guidelines. Okay, so you don't have to go off and say, from this point on, I have to pay $5. It's nice. So these numbers are a guide, and you can take it a little bit left or a little bit right. So yes, if you have already paid your gratuity in the bill, you're fine. However, sometimes they have gone above and beyond, mm-hmm. and you want to show them that extra special thankfulness by giving them a little bit extra. So for example, room service. You order room service, the person brings up your room service, it's already factored in. You might still want to give them an extra $3 or $4. You don't have to, but you look and see what it is. If it's something that's really inexpensive, what is inexpensive with room service?
French fries? No,
yeah,
they're not even.
Let's just say it's French fries.
Right.
Let's just say it is, I'm guessing, let's say it's $7 for French fries and you give them 20%. What is that? 70 cents times 2. You want to give them a little more than that. So always you're thinking about how gracious you are being, and you're also tipping for future service. So if you go to a restaurant and you go to that restaurant over and over again,
yeah,
they're remembering you. So you don't want to be a cheap tipper.
Because they're going to know the next time you come in, they'll be like, that's the lady that gave me $1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, that makes sense, and I probably should give that more. I'm not a bad tipper by any means, but there are a couple of things that you mentioned and that we'll talk about that I probably don't tip enough. So here's another one from, I think it's Risa or Risa. This one's actually funny. What's an appropriate tip for my hairstylist, even if I'm not fond of the cut she gave me?
Yeah, that's uncomfortable because that's a common question. I didn't like my cut. Do I have to leave a tip? Well, I think you should tell your hairstylist, you know, I'm not happy with the length, or I'm not happy with the layers, and give them a chance to fix it. But I don't think that you should skip a tip. Now, that said, if they're contrary, if they're combative, if you have some kind of altercation, you can certainly talk to the manager of that salon. I'm not saying that you tip for bad service, but I am saying if it's service that can't be helped, like at a restaurant, just because somebody is late bringing your food, you don't skip that tip, because it could be the kitchen, it could be other issues besides. So that's kind of subjective. I don't ever want to say you should skip a tip. There may be an extenuating circumstance. Let's say that hairstylist, you know, shaved your head on one side. That's not going to happen, you know, but that's an extreme circumstance.
So what would an appropriate amount be, or percentage-wise? What, even if you're not satisfied necessarily, but it's not like they did it on purpose.
Okay, if you're not, if an average amount, and this is low average, is 15%. So an average amount would be 15%. 10% is really bad, but if you're really unhappy, you talk to the manager and you can leave 10%. 20% is now average. It's average for restaurants. It's average for manicurists, pedicurists, hairstylists.
20%.
And it's easier to figure out than 15%. So you don't have to.
2 for every 10.
Yeah. Easy.
2 for every 10. That always goes through my head because I'm really bad in math. But 2 for every 10.
And round up. Don't round down. Don't go down. Round up. But we already have issues with you tipping. I can tell.
No, we don't. No, please.
I'm just saying.
No, we don't. Okay, so I like this one because this one I obviously have not done a very good job on. Should I leave a tip at the hotel for the housekeeper all at once? So I know that you suggest tipping the housekeeper, leaving it
daily.
Okay.
I want you to leave it daily. And the reason why is it's not the same housekeeper every single day. So if you're there for a week, the person that you're tipping at the end is not the person that was leaving you those extra towels on Tuesday.
Sure.
Usually it's multiple people to a room, right?
Sure. Well, sometimes, but it's not ever the same person. And maybe it's the same person. We don't know. We don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, we're not sure. It could be a bed and breakfast. I mean, you know, we're talking to John Gibson. He's actually right off camera, and he has a question as well. He actually does have a question because he wants to know specifically about tipping at Sonic.
Tip.
At Sonic.
Tip.
You see,
just tip.
But that's their job.
But that's their job. That's what he's saying.
But they're also working for gratuity as well. So leave them $1. And see, and I have issues with change. I have issues with change at a bar, at Sonic. So don't leave them quarters or 35 cents. Give them $1. If you can handle it, give them $1 for bars, for drinks.
if you can
muster it up, do it. If all you have is 73 cents left, give it to them.
I always round up. So if it's $7.57, you just give them the 8 and say, "Here you go."
$7.57, give them the 8. Okay, all right. If that's all you can do, do it. Yes.
So that's bare minimum.
That's bare minimum.
So I'm going to interrupt this conversation because I want all of you who are joining us to know that we're here with Diane Gottsman. She is an etiquette expert, and she's talking about tipping today. The question is not really whether or not you should tip, because in the service industry, we all know that you should.
Yes.
What we're mainly getting at here is how much. And so we've already got the answer that yes, you should tip at Sonic. And there have been a number of guys here in the newsroom that have asked me that very question about Sonic in particular. And we also want your questions. For those of you joining us, we want to know what questions you have about tipping. And before we get to those, I have a couple more here that people asked this morning. Do I tip the valet when I leave the car or when I pick it up?
That is
before or after?
All of these are great questions, but that is such a good question because it's confusing. You drive up, you leave your car, you think, okay, they're taking it now. Do I tip them? What do I do? So what you do is you give them your car. You don't tip them when you leave the car. You tip them when you come back. Now that said, if I want my car, if I'm at a hotel, let's say a hotel, this could be a restaurant, a hotel, but if I pull up to the hotel, I'm just running up to my room quickly, I'm going to say, John, would you mind keeping my car up here just for 10-15 minutes while I run upstairs and change? I'm going to give John a little extra right then because he's doing something for me right then. And when I come back, I'm tipping him again. That was an extra favor I asked him to do.
I'm just curious how much you personally would tip if that scenario actually played out.
So if that played out, I would give him $5 right now. I'd run upstairs, I would change my clothes, I'd come back. I would give him another. I would give him another 5, but you can give him 3. Don't give him 1 and don't give him change. So I think that, you know, and it depends on where you are. It depends on the hotel. It depends on the restaurant. If you're at a restaurant that is a less expensive restaurant, you know, they're not going to probably expect as much as you would a higher end restaurant. And by the way, $5 at a higher end restaurant would not be a lot of money, or even at a nice hotel. So it's subjective, and you use your best judgment. You think about what they're doing for you, just like with a concierge at a hotel. So if you ask for directions, Tiffany, and they point right and say it's at the corner, that's just an answer. But if they pull up directions for you, if they write it out, if they call and make a reservation for you, I would give them anywhere from $5, $10, and up. If they get a difficult to get into tickets to go to the theater, well, you're going to give them 10, 15, upwards.
I bet people are pumped when they see you show up. They're like, yes, getting the big tip today. Getting the big tip today.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I want to go back to the restaurant, though, because there have been a number of questions, even here in our newsroom, about restaurants. What if I'm getting a to-go order and I'm up at the bar or up at the counter paying for my meal, and I get my ticket, and there's the tip line, and no one's serving it to me. They're simply handing me the plastic bag with the stuff in it.
Then close it out and then use the original amount, and that's your amount that you're going to pay. Okay, if you know that it's sitting there and they've handed you the bag. Now, we don't know if they've put it together. We don't know if they plattered it. We don't know if they put extra napkins in for you. Did you want extra ketchup? I know it just sounds like we could just be doling out our money.
Yes.
But when somebody comes curb service for you, I would give them some type of tip. And even if it were $2, you know, even if it was something small, but they've left their area, they've come out, they're giving you, you know, they're spending their time bringing your food out.
But so let's just say they're on the other side of the counter.
Okay,
say.
and they just hand it to you?
Yeah.
If you're at a fast food restaurant and there's a tip jar there, this isn't exactly what you asked, but I'm going to roll this all into one, and there's a tip jar there, you can tip or not. Okay, a tip jar is not an obligation. If you come in, you've ordered, let's say you've ordered Mexican food at your favorite Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
They know you by name, they have it ready to go, they give you an extra packet of hot sauce or 2 or 4.
Yeah.
And I would give them some kind of modest tip.
Because again, they remember you.
Yes.
And when you come back,
It's extra packets of hot sauce.
perhaps better service
Yes.
the next time, or you know, good service the next time as well.
This is not about guilt. This is not about pressure, but it's about building goodwill, building long-term goodwill.
Oh, I like that. That's nice.
Brownie points.
One more on my list here, and then we'll go to what people online are asking. How much? Oh, I like this one. How much should I tip my Uber driver?
Okay.
Because we always hear, and it's even written on the website, like you don't have to, they don't expect it. But like somebody mentioned today, well, my Uber driver had a tip jar, and I was like, whoa,
So
I don't know.
confusing. So let's
What do you
just
do?
clear it up.
Okay.
On their website, it says it's not mandatory or something like that. That's not their words. This is what I'm saying. It's supposed to be a cashless experience, so you use the credit card. You don't leave the tip in the credit card, obviously, but they do accept tips. Most Uber drivers enjoy gratuity, so have cash ready if you want to leave them a tip. And see, somebody said there was a tip jar in there. Well, they do want gratuity. There will be that, I mean, I don't know who it would be, but there will be somebody perhaps that says, no, I don't take gratuity. Then you would say, okay, fine. That might be against, I don't know. But most of the time, Uber drivers want gratuity. 20% of the fare, 15 or 20% of the fare.
Okay.
Lyft gives you an app that you can add gratuity. You know, you can add it into their app.
Oh, okay.
Or you can give them cash as well.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and I just thought of something else. This is not a question, but it's about what we're talking about tipping.
Okay.
So do you tip if you're using a coupon at Sonic to pay.
Surely you don't use.
No, don't even tell me.
I probably have to.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
So if you're using
Every
a
dollar
coupon
counts.
at a restaurant, do you tip on the discounted price, or do you tip on, this is a question for you, or do you tip on the original price?
I'm going to say you tip on the original price.
You're correct. Ding, ding, ding.
They
Yes.
do that at my massage place.
Yes. You at massage places, you
Mm-hmm.
tip on the regular amount, not the discounted amount.
Hold on one second. Rob, you do tip at Sonic. Somebody else was asking about Sonic, and I'm just giving him the answer now. I'm not sure he necessarily agrees with that, but
How much do you tip at Sonic?
now
So
he's
we
asking
talked
how much
about
you do
how
tip.
much you do tip. So I am saying if you're a really big spender, a dollar. But if you have extra change, give them that extra change. But just remember, if you're giving them only 18 cents extra change, they're thinking you're cheap. So, you know, it's subjective. There's not a tried and true rule to how much you're going to tip. But remember, if you come back and they remember you, they're going to say, there's that guy who left me 13 cents and kept asking for more salt.
Is there a minimum before it's an insult?
Is there a minimum? The minimum is 13 cents. The minimum is too little. You'll know. If it feels bad, poorly in your gut, it's wrong. If you think, God, is this too little? It's too little. Just saying.
We're actually live on Facebook, so we should probably get back to Facebook.
So now we have two
You know
cheap
what?
Sonic tippers.
You talking about your gut, that ends up kind
Yes.
of determining what I'm going to pay for most everything when it comes to tipping. So,
Listen to how you feel. Listen to the whispers.
right. Where there was one here. Let's see. Some people are being funny, which happens.
Yes.
In this era of debit cards, credit cards,
He's
I don't
asking about
carry cash.
debit. This was a good one.
What's your tip to people like me? I don't. It's
So-
not I'm rude. I don't carry cash on
So
me.
so John is saying that he does not carry cash. So he has credit cards, but he doesn't carry cash. And you know, I think first of all, I think that's most men and many women. You know, what is it about men that don't carry cash? My husband included. So yes. So
Yeah.
I think that we should always have cash in our wallets. We should always carry a few dollars. What if there's an emergency? But since we're talking about tipping, that's a whole other topic. Since we're talking about tipping and you don't have cash, but you want to leave a tip, there are places, and you have to ask because everybody is different, but there are places that you can actually leave your gratuity on your credit card, and they will gladly take it. So that's the answer to your question.
Is there does it matter though at the end of the day with a lot of excuse me restaurants if you do have maybe a little bit of cash but you're like, well, I'll just put the tip on the tip line. I mean, is there a preference?
I think you should I think it's easier just to add it in with a credit card. You know, if you're paying by credit card, add it by credit card
Okay.
as well. And again, that's ease for the customer.
What about at a buffet?
Okay?
That's another question.
So when you're going through the buffet line, you never talk to a human except for the person that's putting the food on your tray, going through the buffet. Now what happens is you sit down and there is this person walking around that says, my name is Tom or Jill, and if I can help you with anything, let me know. And they occasionally will come and fill your water. So you want to leave them something. If there is a person there that is assigned to your table and they have helped you or offered to help you, you want to leave them $1 or $2. I say $2. You know, I'm funny about $1 at something like this. But you want to leave something.
Yeah. Okay. So I also want to mention this because it's a really good resource, and it's actually not out yet. But we'll get to this.
March 14th, but it's on pre-sale right now. Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
So I don't know. Maybe I should get a little bit closer. But Diane has written a book. Yay! Look at. All right. Let me see if I can get
let's see
close.
how you're doing.
I know. I don't know if I'm doing very well. So here's the book. I'm trying to get close so you can see the book. Can you see the book? It's okay. It's Facebook. It's a little bit different. Can you see it? Okay. So modern etiquette for a better life. Just about any kind of etiquette question you might have, from which fork do I use? Yeah, because that's sometimes an issue, to how much do I tip? All of that is available in this book. And specifically on page 113, which is about a little more than halfway through the book, is where the tipping is. So I'm going to run back over here. I'm sorry that was kind of awkward. But, all right. So, jeepers. It's Facebook. It's a little different.
Facebook.
She's never done a Facebook Live
I've
before,
never done
and
a
she's really
Facebook
good at
Live.
it. All right, so I'm just going to kind of run through some of these, and then we can talk
Okay.
about them as we go. Day to day with gratuity. Food server, 18 to 20%.
Remember, 15% used to be average. It's now low average. So I say 18, starting at 18 and up.
Okay. Food delivery, 18 to 20%, minimum $5.
Some people will scoff. They're going to say, well, what if it's right around the corner and it's walking distance? So if you want to leave give them $3, that's fine. If it's pizza delivery and use your best judgment, but just think about how you would feel if it were you, or if it were your kid, your high school son or daughter doing it. That's what I say.
And I've noticed that people that have been in the service industry, maybe younger in life, and now they still remember clear
Right.
as day the good days and the bad days, and they're like, you need to tip, and you need to tip well, because they put up with a lot.
And we're in Houston. I understand. It's a little bit different if we were in New York or LA or someplace that it's different locations have different kinds of, tipping is tipping. But in New York, in a blizzard, you're going to tip a little bit more than you're going to tip on a sunny day in Houston if you're factoring that in.
So Tex Austin, not quite certain who that is. Is that someone you know? No. Okay. So this is something we've been discussing. If your hairdresser owns the salon and sets her own prices that include the profit, she keeps 100%, or do you tip?
So I'm
The owner of the salon is the one doing your hair. So do you tip that person?
This is a commonly asked question, and years ago, you would not tip. The owner of the salon, you would not tip. That was the rule. Today, you tip. Today, the owner of the salon, most of the time, and there's always going to be that person that says no or, oh, I don't. But generally speaking, the owner of the salon appreciates a tip because they have overhead, they have all kinds of expenses as well. When they are doing my salon, the place I go, she does facials and she does pedicures, and we've had extensive talks about this, and they appreciate gratuity. They have lots of overhead most of the time, unless they're doing it from their home, which I don't even know if you can do that. Okay, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's a possibility, but the answer is yes, you tip.
So my pizza guy delivered 2 pizzas to us, and I gave him $10. Is that considered good?
Yeah, you're a great tipper. That's really nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everybody should do this. I'm just saying that if he wanted to do it or she wanted to do
Brenda.
it. Brenda. Good for you, Brenda.
Good, Brenda.
If you want to give them 5, if you want to give them 6, if you want to give them 4, again, listen to your gut, but good girl, Brenda. I like that.
All right, so bartender, $1 per drink.
Okay, we had a funny tweet today that said, well, that's if you don't know your bartender. I give him, I think he said 40% or 50 or 60%.
Yeah, I think he said 40%,
So,
which,
I think $1 a drink is fine. I think if it's a beer, let's say, if it's a pretty drink, a fancy drink, there's multiples. Certainly, they're going to be more, so you're going to tip more. But I really, again, it goes back to John and the extra change. At Sonic, if you get 32 cents back in change, if it's cash, that into their tip jar isn't probably enough. It's not enough. You want to do more.
Yeah.
So I say average $1 a drink or more.
Well, you know what? Someone asked this again, and I always love talking about this because I always have that head-scratching moment when I'm getting to go at a restaurant. What if you order to go from a restaurant that you're picking up yourself? Can you address that one more time?
Okay.
It's for Shanisha.
So if you order to go, you're picking it up yourself, you jump into the restaurant, they hand you the bag, you sign your check if you're using a credit card, and you pay with cash, and you go, you're fine. You're fine.
Even though there's a tip line. There's a tip line, and I always pause.
It feels,
I don't know what to do.
It feels uncomfortable, it feels cheap, because there's that tip line, and you think, are they looking? Are they watching? Do I have to tip? It's all of these questions that we think about.
Yep.
And it's subjective. Again, if they know you, if they have done something special for you, you want to leave them a couple of dollars, that's fine. But it's absolutely not in stone a requirement that you tip on a to-go order. If they haven't, especially if they haven't put a lot of effort into it. The second question is, well, how do we know? So we really don't know what happens behind the scenes, but if you go to, well, I don't want to name any particular fast food restaurants that you can order to go. I would just say don't feel the pressure. You don't feel the pressure, but if you want to, go ahead.
I know we talked about this one a number of times. Stylist, 15% of service. Shampoo attendant. I had this happen a week or two ago. Someone else shampooed my hair, and I thought, well, do I give that person something separate, or do I?
Yes.
What, okay.
So the answer is yes. And some rules of thought will say give the 20% to the stylist and let them divvy it up. Don't do that, because then we don't know what that stylist is giving them, if anything. So give your stylist 18 to 20%.
Yeah.
Give your shampoo person $3 to $5. And I'm not saying it has to be $5. It could be $3. It could be $2. Something.
Manicure, pedicure, massage, 15 to 20%.
So 15 to 20%. And again, 15 is where you start. It could be 18, 20, but right in through there.
Flower delivery, $5. So if I'm
fair.
getting flowers, I'm giving a tip for
And
the
you're
flowers
not
I'm
expecting
receiving?
the flowers, you don't have any money in your wallet. So, sometimes, and they understand this, if you can tip them a little something, do, because they're delivering something to you.
Yeah.
But if someone is sending you, we're going to have some people that may not like this answer, but if someone is sending you some flowers, you don't have access to your cash. If you have cash at all in your purse, I think the flower delivery people, although they appreciate gratuity, and they should have it because they should get it when possible, you should not be responsible for flowers that you didn't even know that you were about to receive.
Okay.
I want you to tip them if you can, because I believe people should get gratuity, except I don't want you to go in a hole because you didn't have $3 to $5 to tip them.
Okay. Makes sense.
It was unexpected.
It was
It
unexpected.
was
They
unexpected.
didn't offer the service.
Yeah.
So, barista, $1 to $2. I mentioned that on Twitter today, and I got kind of a mixed bag of comments on it, but $1 to $2.
Not necessary, but nice. Not necessary, but if that barista sees you in a line and you're 7 back, so you wait and you're late for work, and by the time you get up to the counter, your drink is made and ready to go. Give them and you can hand them you can give them $1. $2, $3, $5, $10. They're not expecting it, but it's nice.
So hotel housekeeping, we've kind of talked about this once, but I think it's worth mentioning again. Hotel housekeeping, you said tip every day.
Every day.
What do you do? A few dollars by the nightstand, or
This is really important because we don't want to set them up to make them feel like they're taking money that does not belong to them. They would not do that anyway.
Right.
So I just did this morning.
Oh, okay.
You take a little slip of paper, you say housekeeping, write housekeeping, thank you. I said I would like extra towels, and I left her $5.
so
or
getting
him,
it out
we
of
don't
the
know.
cart on your
So-
own is not really advised?
Okay.
I'm kidding, I don't do that.
It's tempting. You want to. I didn't see a cart, but I would still ask. An extra soap, please.
Right. So I like this. 'Tis the season, package delivery. We're kind of out of the holiday season now, but you tip the the mailman? You
No.
tip the
No.
You tip the UPS worker?
Okay, you can. There are rules for UPS
Okay,
and
so-
FedEx.
okay.
But the rule on their website for the United States Postal Service worker on their website says you cannot tip. It's not tipping. You can give them a gift up to $20, non-cash gift. On their website. This is not us. This is their ethics council that says
Okay.
this. Because I don't want to have the confusion again. This always gets some people stirred up. So, and it's just the way it is. So I can't give information that's incorrect. Now, UPS and FedEx is different, and UPS is everybody knows do you know your UPS driver?
I recognize him when he walks in the front of this building, but not the one at home.
Well, they leave it up to their own discretion on what they can accept, and I don't think a UPS driver would turn down a gift, or a cash gift. But FedEx can accept a gift valued at $75. Let me verify it still. They cannot get cash, no cash. So you can't give FedEx cash. UPS, I believe, this is through their own representatives, say they can accept a nominal gratuity, but they don't put a number on it.
Okay.
That's a safety issue, though.
Yeah,
They don't want their drivers carrying around cash.
yeah, I believe it'd be a safety issue. That makes sense.
This is holiday, and we're talking about holiday gift giving right here, but generally all year round.
This right here, Modern Etiquette for a Better Life. Where can people get this book when it becomes available next month?
Well, it's available right now and has been available. You can find it on Amazon. You can pre-sell it, pre-purchase it. It's Barnes & Noble, and there's some other. You can go to my website and go to books, and it will give you the links. But you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble right now.
And seriously,
You'll love it.
You have you pretty much address everything I ever needed to know about etiquette. I'm not being smarty pants, you really have, and it's a really nice reference. And again, in here is tipping, because once again, what's the bottom line when it comes to tipping?
Just think about the other person. Be respectful, be kind, be gracious, and listen to your gut. If you think it's too little, it probably is. And that book is set up for easy reading. You can throw it in your purse, your briefcase. It's great for men and women. It's not just for women. It's for graduations. I sound like I'm trying to sell the book. I am. But it's a good book.
That's actually not why she came on with us today.
It is not.
I approached her about talking about tipping because we've talked to her before, and I think you're a really good source, and you really help us realize that tipping, is important for a lot of people. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I always love coming on.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
And if for some reason we couldn't get to some of your questions, I will go back and use the book and help get those answered for you. So you're welcome to leave more questions. And thank you so much for joining us.